Well, hello there and welcome to the living room of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Hugh Stelfers for February 15th, the day of inventiveness. And here at the top of the page is a visual representational image of the day of inventiveness. Well, we have us an image of, what could it be? I'm not quite sure. It looks to be some kind of strung instrument with some resonators coming out the bottom. Or what I thought at first was an opium pipe of some sort. That's right. Now, does it speak to the day of inventiveness? I don't know. Maybe, perhaps it does. It's a pretty interesting thing there. Maybe it's a hybrid of the two. Who's to say? Now, it's not altogether all too important. I just kind of like you to know what's on the page in front of me here so you can kind of get further entrenched in the paradigm, if you like. But like I said, not altogether all too important. What is important, though, is it's February 15th, and ostensibly it's somebody's birthday. So, wishing you a happy birthday if your birthday is February 15th. That's what's important. That's right. But if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may be, I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. But for everybody else who's joining us randomly, or more ideally to celebrate, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, and that is roll some dice. That's right. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake. But I do so, more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. And here I rolled a 1 and a 4, 4 of 5. Now, what is synchronicity? You're probably wondering. Well, my friends, I hear it told as we get out into the world, we usually are very narrow or singular of focus. A lot of times we have the blinders on to what's going on around us. And as I also hear it told, the universe is very apt to put things in our path to help us, I don't know, see our goals or manifest our aspirations. But if we got the blinders on, hey, we might not be so apt to see those things or lend credence to, I don't know, how they can help us, all right? Or even just recognize that there's something that we should be taking note of, all right? So this is a little bit of an exercise to help you get those blinders off and see those things for as much, all right? And how do we do that? Well, it's kind of like an agreement between us and the universe, something that we can't help but notice. That's right. So your daily numbers, a sign of some kind. Now, you don't have to go with the numbers I rolled for you. The intention is there, but it's probably advisable you get your own set of dice so you can ascribe directional values to number sets and time limits with which to go in those directions, provided this is something you're interested in. If not, just skip ahead past the example. So let's say you get out to some place near and dear to your heart, maybe the town square or some other place you haven't ever been to before. Let's say the town square, for sake of argument's sake. Get your dice out, roll yourself a time value, a directional value, find out where you're going, and head off. But like I said, get those blinders off. You want to start taking everything around you like a sponge, because you never know. Outside of your dice there, your numbers, you might just start to pick up on random things. Almost a kind of a theme, say. Let's say on this first leg of your journey, hey, you just so happen to cross a bridge, all right? A lot of times we're not crossing bridges, all right? But here nor there, that's just something you might pick up on. Maybe by the end of this time value, hey, you notice you're on old Fifth Avenue. It's just kind of another sign that you're on the right track. So you roll yourself another directional value time limit, you head off. Once again, hey, we're crossing over a bridge. Maybe as you do so this time, what's this? You happen to notice a $20 bill lying in your path. Well, you look around, nobody's around. Hey, you know what? Synchronous day, isn't it? You pick up the 20, you head on out, roll another value. Hey, what's he cross another bridge? All right, hey, a little bit of a theme here going. I'm not even trying to set this up, you may say to yourself. Well, maybe at the end of this next little stretch you got here in front of you, you find yourself in front of like a Japanese garden, say. Well, hey, should I go in? Shouldn't I? Well, leave it up to the dice. See if you can, I don't know, yes or no, an odd value for no, even number for yes. You roll it out, boom, it says yes. Well, you head on in. No sooner do you stand up, hey, maybe there's a group of folks that comes in around you, and you kind of got to push your way through. And then as you're getting on into the Japanese garden, letting the dice kind of dictate the direction, maybe once again you cross over this bridge, and it lends to, say, a little bit of an island. And maybe you find yourself looking over the railing there in the midst of a koi pond. It's something very relaxing, all right? But no sooner are you taking in this moment of solace, hey, maybe there's somebody behind you. Excuse me, what do you think you're doing here? Excuse? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just Be very transparent in these moments of of alarm, if you like, or people confronting you about what you're doing. Show them your dice, maybe show them this video. Hey, it's my birthday. I'm just actually trying to get some synchronicities, stacking up some coincidences. I don't know, maybe, drumming up some synchronicities, see what'll happen. And they say, that's crazy. Like, yeah, I know, but it's not on me. I'm just trying to have a happy birthday, right? They go, well, all that being said, you came in without paying for a ticket. Oh, shoot. Well, you know what? I didn't mean to do that. So what do? You reach for your 20, right? You reach for your 20, you hand it to them. Didn't mean that. I must have been ducked down, rolling my dice. All those people came around. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, right? Well, they go, that'll cover it. And they give you back your change. And what's this? Oh, maybe it's something be $5 change. Oh, there's your numbers, right? Boom. It was all meant to be. And by the way, maybe that person says, and happy birthday. It's my birthday too. Oh, that would be interesting, right? Especially if they decided to maybe waive the fee. I don't know, keep the whole 20 if you like. Any event, that's the idea of synchronicity, just lining things up, the universe kind of setting out a path for you, showing you that it's with you. All right, I think you get the idea, so let's dive in to your birthday read, shall we? Your month is February, your day is the 15th, your sign is 25 to 27 degrees Aquarius of the Aquarius III period specifically, and your quality and element is fixed air. All right, February 15th, the day of inventiveness. Those born on February 15th display great ingenuity as well as imagination. Whether their talents lie in more technical or poetic realms, many born on this day are able to make their unusual visions and dreams a reality. They seem to find it natural to think creatively and are less threatened than most people by difficulties or problems, which to them are but challenges of varying complexity. In this respect, they are very positive in their outlook. On the other hand, they can be deeply disappointed when their efforts are unsuccessful, and they do not always have the stamina to hang in there, particularly when it is more patience than action that is required. Sensitive to the extreme, February 15 people are highly reactive to criticism directed against them. And their feelings are pretty close to the surface and can be easily touched or provoked. And February 15 people like to make things around them run smoothly, not only for the well-being of others, but also because they can guarantee themselves the greatest amount of personal latitude and freedom from inhibiting responsibilities, an important item for them. And February 15 people make no bones about their wish to have fun, but at the same time are very serious about principles and ideals. And those born on this day are sympathetic as well as empathetic, and therefore feel the pain of others more keenly than the average person. As a consequence, the exploitation and oppression of disadvantaged or weaker persons is particularly hard for them to suffer. Lovers of nature, February 15 people like to be free to roam, and they think as they wish to let their minds play over all the wonders of the world. And many born on this day are intensely curious and want to investigate most everything around them. And they can saturate themselves with stimuli, and the more they take in, the richer life becomes. They must, however, beware of the burnout that can come as a result of living too long in a heightened state. And although February 15 people do well to discipline themselves and bring more order into their lives, which can be chaotic, they generally resist externally imposed discipline and indeed can be extremely rebellious. However, they are discerning enough to know when the order imposed is necessary and can follow rules to the letter if they are reasonable and just. Unfortunately, in this imperfect world, such is not often the case. And sometimes, instead of expressing their frustrations, February 15 people turn silent and drive resentment down inside. At this point, they may be apt to make silent promises to themselves, granting a consolation prize or planning revenge. Less highly evolved individuals born on this day must beware of wallowing in self-pity or periodically bursting out in uncontrollable rages. But dealing with negative emotions is the most important challenge of all for February 15th people to meet. Often those born on this day grow wiser with age and level out emotionally with the passing years. Affection is usually the key to this process. Giving and receiving it on a daily basis is important for their growth and development. Deprived of it, they can turn inward and come to live in their own isolated, albeit imaginative world. All right, quite the interesting birthday breakdown today, I would say. It almost filled the whole page to that end. So I found this one particularly of note because it seems to relate in so many different ways to a lot of the other days that are kind of bookended around it. So you're taking a lot from the period, but you're also making it your very own. So before I say any more, let's dive into some notes, all right? Because I might be getting ahead of myself. I like to provide a little bit of a commentary as to what we just read and maybe make some connections with days previous and just maybe the period at large. So let's get into some notes here. February 15th, the day of inventiveness, all right? You're displaying great ingenuity and imagination, and you're particularly capable of manifesting unusual visions and dreams. Now, whether your talents lie in the more physical or conceptual arenas. The reading claims it's natural for you to think creatively and you don't get stifled by issues that may arise in the process. The way others may, in fact. All right, and the reading claims for you such things are simply challenges to be overcome. But if you truly are positive in your outlook and creativity, I'd imagine you may see such challenges as some kind of constraint, right, which fosters even more opportunities for creativity. It's like finding yourself within boundaries, so you have to use those restrictions and with ways to which get more creative. And this has come up, I think, in no small part as an example I've used for some of the days previous who can kind of get locked in on certain things. So it's like, hey, why not flourish within those constraints? So I'm liking that I'm able to kind of put that out there for more folks. But of particular note, however, is the seeming lack of wherewithal for aspects of an endeavor that may require patience versus action, which seems like a tricky delineation, since such issues are challenges of their own ilk. All right. But having said that, the reading claims you don't handle being unsuccessful or criticisms particularly well either. You like things to run smoothly, not just for your own well-being, but for that of others as well. And to this end, you're said to be very empathetic as well as sympathetic individuals. So you may personally suffer yourself when it comes to the plight of others, which in no small part may contribute or be a direct result of a heightened curiosity, I would argue, that may be realized in a love for nature that said you're kind of apt to possess, and an investigation of the world and life kind of writ large, I would argue. See, is probably a primary driver for your frustration, too, if you think about it. Maybe just too much stimuli coming in at you. And the process is requiring your patience for as much. Maybe it's just not there. So you've got like this either or kind of dilemma going for you. But considering all the things you may feel you're missing out on in such circumstances, the reading warns about burning out in these regards too. All right, and further recommends cultivating the discipline necessary to bring more order into your life. All right, the words rebellious and chaotic being used to describe your life as well. All right, now despite a capacity to follow the rules, if they're reasonable, all told, this is one of the most in-depth, dynamic days that I've come across probably in weeks. With regard to the analysis on the personality. It was so in-depth it kind of was easy to get lost, I would say, which is ironic considering yesterday of all days, because that one it covered so much about the personality, but it really didn't say all that much. A little bit redundant, kept going over the same things, but kind of said a different way. So it's very interesting that this day just happens to follow that day, because it's just so in-depth here, whereas yesterday, rather shallow. But that said, again, I thought it was really interesting, in depth. I was going over the notes earlier, and I was having to reread a bunch of stuff because it was like there was so much being said. I was getting lost in it. But that having been said, that's what I had to say about your birthday breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right. Those born on the 15th of the month are ruled by the number 6, as 1 plus 5 equals 6, and by the planet Venus. And those ruled by the number 6 tend to be highly attractive to others and even inspire worship on occasion. However, the combined influence of Venus and Uranus, or Uranus, depending upon how you like to say it, which is Aquarius's ruler, makes them highly impressionable and may indicate an erratic love life with lots of ups as well as downs. All right. Now, I mentioned yesterday was a little bit sparse with the breakdown here. Today, your numbers and planets was particularly sparse. It was here that was at a deficit, whereas yesterday's was a bit more in that regard. So kind of interesting that there was a switch there. But you know what? I would say I would rather take that over the other one. But that being said, let's get into it here with the notes. The number 6 in the planet Venus for a tendency to be highly attractive to others in both terms of beauty, I'm assuming. But chiefly, I'd say it's probably because of your character and your approach to life, all right? Even the seeming red flags, to say the chaotic and the lacking patience aspect, those are probably things people probably find rather intriguing, all things told. But to this end, the reading claims you may even inspire worship, all right? Surprising today's entry, like I said, rather sparse, losing out to yesterday's by a line. So I forgot a little bit, but yesterday's was sparse too, but you lost out to it, all right? But elsewhere in the book, Venus is also said to present a love of beauty, both sensuous and idealistic, but also inspires social interaction. But with Uranus as a co-ruling planet, you may be highly impressionable and encounter erratic romantic relationships. Uranus is said to shake up and electrify whatever planet that it happens to co-rule with. With its imparted traits of eccentricity, rebellion, a desire to change the rules, and also impulsive drives. So if you notice any of that, that's probably who's to blame, all right? But so astrologically speaking, it makes sense you may be extreme in certain senses, but disconnected in others. Again, perhaps thanks to Uranus there. Some days it kind of helps bolster some of the planetary aspects there, but I think, what was it? The Mercury and the Moon were like the only ones that got something productive out of it. Here you get Venus, and so maybe there's a little bit more dynamics at hand that don't necessarily benefit you all too well. But who's to say? I'm not an astrologer. I don't know how that really shakes out in the wash. I can only really go with what I've read previously. So that being said, that's your numbers and planets. Hopefully I imparted a little bit more than the reading could for you, based on, what the reading has provided for me. Because they can't make them all good, I guess. But that having been said, let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. A lot of people poo-poo it, I'm kind of one of them too. I don't know what to make of it. But hey, it's here in the book. It's your birthday. Let's just see what it has to say. I find a lot of times we can make these cards just about speak to what's been written in the breakdown, interestingly enough. So let's see what you got today, and then we can just leave it in the book and move on. All right, here we go. The 15th card of the major arcana is the Devil. That's right, the Devil, who indicates a fear-desire dynamic working where sexual attraction, irrationality, and passion are concerned. The Devil enslaves us through our need for material comfort and money. And he represents our base nature grasping for security. He controls us through the irreconcilable differences which exist in our male and female nature. And a positive side of this card is sexual attraction and the expression of passionate desires. Therefore, February 15th people must develop enough willpower and self-discipline to take their emotions in hand. Yet the card can also serve as a reminder that although we are bound to our bodies, our spirits are free to soar. All right, hey, they personalize this one for you a little bit. And oftentimes the tarot doesn't get personalizations. That's right. I feel like they add a little bit something extra to it, though. It's possible they did. All things being equal, let's dive back into the notes. See what I had to say about it for you. The Devil, which is a once-a-month card with a fear slash desire dynamic, working with sexual attraction, irrationality, and the passions. It's kind of apt, I would say, with respect to, again, this vacillating focus slash drive when it comes to certain issues. So the term irreconcilable differences makes sense and speaks to the frustrations that you may endure where others ostensibly flourish and vice versa. And here the reading gives the recommendation to develop willpower and self-discipline, but with a focus on your emotions, all right? So which by and large may be what largely contributes to your frustrations, all right? Also that dynamic of you've got so many curiosities in your life, your focus is divided on so many different areas, it might just be too much passion for all that stuff. Again, they mentioned burnout, right? There you go. So while not expressly stated in the breakdown with the emotions there, though I think it was, I must have forgot it when I wrote the notes. This is a through line in no small regard with the period at large, being run by the emotions. So maybe it bears some consideration, all right? And if we already know the thing about the emotions, even though I totally forgot it when I was putting the notes together, if we know our emotions handle us like that or they influence us in such ways, yeah, maybe we can understand that, accept it a little bit more, and then the patience might come with it, I would say. And I said patience isn't your strong suit, and maybe it's a certain aspect of acceptance with such things. And once you know them in your heart, then maybe patience comes a little bit easier. You're able to work through it better because you've got the answer, maybe. In any event, that's your tarot. Like I said, maybe hopefully I imparted a little bit more value than what the book had to put into it for you. But I would say they put quite a bit into it. Some of these tarot entries rather sparse, but this one quite a bit, even though it was a little bit majestic, if you like. I don't know how, it was a little more romantic there, if you like. How are we supposed to append that to the reading? Who's to say? But hopefully I did so, I think is what I'm trying to correlate there. That said, that's your tarot, so let's move on to your health. All right, your health here. Those born on February 15th are extremely sensitive to their environment and must therefore be attuned to possible allergies. Their skin can be particularly sensitive, and soothing creams containing vitamin E or essential oils may be of help. And those born in this day can also suffer from problems with their nervous system, again related to emotional sensitivity. And February 15th people should keep active, and therefore quite vigorous exercise is recommended, with plenty of rest in between. February 15 people are quite particular about what they eat, and therefore it is recommended that they indulge their tastes with few restrictions. Learning to cook and cultivating an appreciation for the culinary arts automatically widens their dietary horizons because of their intense curiosity and the need to innovate. Sensuous desires are usually in the forefront with February 15th people and must be expressed spontaneously. All right. This was a highly unique health entry. I would say they said quite a bit, and they provided a little bit of context to a few of the things that they often mention, but don't often put context into. So they changed it up quite a bit here, I would say. But they also, in some regards, they didn't necessarily say a whole lot when you compare it to some of the other days. So I might be getting ahead of myself again. Let's dive into the notes here. It might be extremely sensitive. You might be extremely sensitive to your environment, and that may extend to allergies, they said, particularly of the skin, perhaps. And that might be a first, I believe, of the period where allergies came up. The nervousness and emotional sensitivities, however, isn't. Vigorous exercise and rest recommended is a bit of an anomaly for those who are born on a Venus day. All right, that usually pops up for a Mars day to ostensibly excise their god of war-like energy. But your more goddess of love kind of orientation there, it's usually more of a moderate type thing. However, I think Uranus is really shaking things up in those regards because every Mars day that's popped up has been moderate to light, which really bucks a trend. So here, that would seem to line up. If you're getting vigorous, you're getting something that doesn't normally pop up. So it just helps to further verify my little hypothesis into how they determine the exercise regimen there. But also the fact vigorous is, like I said, hardly mentioned on Venus days. Learning to cook is a largely Capricorn recommendation. And ostensibly, like they said, it's about the curiosity aspect of it. But usually a health entry will incorporate what foods you should eat specifically. And here they didn't mention that. And normally when this cooking thing comes up, they don't say what they said for you. And that is that nutrition will follow if you widen your culinary abilities there. And that was something I kind of considered, and I've said in so many days, so I guess I was a little bit right. Maybe that was the focus of as much. To say, like, maybe you incorporate more fresh ingredients, more healthy ingredients to that end, organic, whatever, if you're trying to expand your culinary things. And so I think this is the first mention where they said that might be why they recommend it. So oftentimes I have a good guess. There we go. Just took 3 or 4 months to finally arrive at it. All right, here's what I have to say. But it makes sense to expand your diet and lean in on the curiosity angle for you specifically, I would say. They said spontaneity and sensual endeavors, and that's new also. All right. What else did I have to say? For your well-being, I would say why that's in there also. I'm also a little surprised, and I don't know why. I just kind of feel like they would have maybe thrown in a therapy recommendation for you because of all the chaos and the frustration that pops up, ostensibly to help you kind of work through it, get your ideas out on a plate. And I just say that because I've seen far more or far less such frustrations pop up in a birthday breakdown, and then to have that recommendation come through in the health here. So a little bit interesting in my mind for that. Though that doesn't speak to, you as an individual with your head ostensibly not on straight. It's just this entry had all the earmarks for that coming up in the health. That being said, that's been your health. So let's move on to some advice. All right. Staying in a good mood is possible. All right. Avoid overindulging your sensitivities. Develop patience and remain focused. All right. And while learning, to handle rejection and disappointment. That's right. Remain focused while doing those things. And keep your energy flowing, but don't get bottled up. All right. That's been your advice. Let's dive into what I had to say about what they had to say. All right. Bear with me. I had to write it real tiny in a book to get everything in there. All right. They said stay in a good mood. And they say it's possible also. Ostensibly when you're frustrated, I said. All right. Now, I didn't get the idea you have a hard time with as much. Or perhaps when you're empathizing with others' plight, this is a particular issue. Though I think I must have just missed something or forgot it when I was writing the notes, because they did say it was a little bit of an issue for you. I would say work on disconnecting from dealing with other people's pain as much as possible. Because I say that because I doubt others want their pain to be affecting other people in a dramatic fashion. They kind of just want someone to talk to, have a shoulder to lean on. They don't want someone to actually start taking it on themselves and having their life ruined in concert with as much. So, maybe give that some consideration. I'm sure those folks don't want you to really experience it the way they are. Also, what else do we have? That might affect them even worse. All right, so there you go. What else say? And if they do get some kind of enjoyment out of other people feeling their pain and being adversely affected by it, well, then they have some work to do themselves, and they're probably someone you should distance yourself from, I would say. All right, avoid overindulging in your sensitivities, they said. And I would say that's right in line with that kind of thing. They said cultivate patience and focus in handling of rejection as well as disappointments. All right. It's a tough thing to do, rejection, disappointment, but it's common. You're not alone in those regards. Part of being human, part of life. Maybe get curious about it, why it's affecting you that way. Maybe understanding the nuts and bolts of it and cultivating a little bit of self-awareness. Boy, it's going to help you out in the long run, help build up the strength inside, the toughest skin, and then get out there and handle even more rejection. Hopefully not, but I'm sure it's baked in part of the process there. And it's something you can do, and it probably only helps to broaden your other strengths. Basically said that. It's also said such situations are also inevitable, all right? What could flourish in these moments? What kind of creative ideas might you come up with because of these situations too? The ones you ostensibly didn't imagine. If you were to try and just break through this process as much as possible, I would say, what can you learn from dealing with such things? It's only going to help broaden your horizons. Who's to say, what if you could play your music and smoke your opium too? That's right. That's just like the visual representational image there. You just have to get out there and devise a way through it. All right. So what else do we have here? They said, keep your energy flowing. And I say that speaks to all the advice in all its aspects. All right. Keep flowing, keep curious, keep moving, grooving, and evolving, if you like. They mentioned the lesser evolved individual there. And born on this day must beware of wallowing in self-pity. I would say periodically bursting into uncontrollable rages. That's right. Avoid that stuff like the plague. Not a good look just on its face, but also, hey, it's just going to affect you even more dramatically, I would say. So yeah, rise above, keep moving and grooving, keep flowing, as they said. Don't get bottled up. In any event, that's been your advice, so let's move on to your meditation. All right, your meditation. It's your birthday, you get one. All right. Ooh, this one's straightforward, though I'm sure that there's infinite amounts of advice to be gleaned for it. Maybe not infinite, but here we go. Tomorrow is another day. Oh, it probably sounds like a little bit of a cheat, but you know what? Tomorrow is another day. All right. Why they chose this one for you, I'm not entirely sure, but it's not my birthday, so I'm not going to try to formulate some spin or interpretation on it for you. And even if I had one, hey, I wouldn't tell you because, again, it's your meditation, it's your birthday. It wouldn't do you any good. So once again, tomorrow is another day. All right, there's your meditation in the can, as it were. So let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror, see where we got the girth, if you like, and we're otherwise a little more deflated or atrophied. All right, your strengths, you're curious. Oh, we knew that one. You're ingenious. There you go. And you're affectionate. All right, I like it. But your weaknesses, let's hold up that objective mirror, but flip it to the side that blows up your face there. Maybe shows off the things you're otherwise a little more superficially insecure about there, I feel like, within the metaphor. All right, your weaknesses, you're chaotic, you're oversensitive, and you're moody. I don't know why I picked up on moody so much. The other ones, though, I think they covered quite a bit of ground with respect to those in the breakdown. That's right. And oftentimes I like to say our strengths are going to help us overcome our weaknesses. That is, if there's something we need to even overcome to begin with. There was one day a couple months back, impulsive came up as a strength, but the very next day it traded to a weakness. And it got me thinking about, well, what's the disconnect here? It's just one day apart, and it's dramatically different in that person's life. And it got me thinking about, it's just the person and the situation where that's going to determine that. And so I also like to think that the weaknesses, because of that, your weaknesses can also be strengths. It just depends, again, on the situation. All right, you're chaotic, oversensitive, and moody. Hey, maybe you need to tap into that for some particular reason. And if you didn't have those things, well, then you wouldn't have that to tap into, right? If you're an actor, perhaps, I need to get these things and understand them a little bit more so that I can emote on screen. Maybe not the best look, and that might extend out into the rest of your life if you're trying to drill down into it specifically. So, I don't know, be measured about as much. Or perhaps, I don't know, I like to use this example where you're at work and they want to unload some big grandiose project on your shoulders, and maybe it's not one that you want to take on. So, hey, diving into chaotic, oversensitive, and moody. And kind of acting up in those regards there, because it's a natural inclination of yours. They might just be apt to give it to somebody else. That's right. So you used your weakness as a strength. Now, I don't particularly endorse that method of arriving at as much, but Again, it's something I cooked up a few weeks back, so this felt like the perfect opportunity to drop it in there for you. That said, I like to say your strengths are going to help you overcome those things. You're curious, ingenious, affectionate. Curious, you're going to be like, how do I figure this out? All right, that's huge. Being almost excited about trying to figure out how things work. Ingenious, you're going to come up with the way to figure it out that puts the other people's ideas about how to do as much probably to shame, all right? So who needs the therapy, right? There you go. That's why you don't need it. You're ingenious and you can figure it out yourself. Affectionate, I would say if you're affectionate, you might have the tools to be affectionate toward yourself as well. And that's a huge thing, self-love. So that being said, I often like to say our weaknesses are part of who we are, so maybe don't get rid of them altogether if there's something you want to improve upon. All right. Strengths and weaknesses having been relayed, let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to do is look at not only who shares your company, but maybe look at it through from a perspective of how can that help us figure out our passions. And I say that because I get out in the world and meet a lot of folks and I ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. And a lot of times they don't. And I think it's a perfectly understandable aspect of life because a lot of times you get right out of school, right into a job so we can make ends meet. But the fatal flaw of as much as it's usually not something that's rooted in something we like to do, let alone what we're passionate about. And then we just keep on that track. Maybe we get to a certain, climb the corporate ladder, if you like, to a certain position where everything's a lot easier. We got things on autopilot. You fill in the coffers. You've kind of figured out your day-to-day life, and maybe you don't even have to do that much. But at the root of it, the fatal flaw is it's not something you like to do. So what are we doing here? Are we finding anything fulfilling about what we're doing in life? And so I think this is the perfect opportunity to examine that. And, what better than to see the folks who got in the book and what they did. Ostensibly, it might not have been their passions, but ostensibly it was because it got them here in the book. So maybe we can use as much as inspiration to start looking back at that aspect of our lives. Because if there's anything I can wish you on your birthday, it's that you're out there chasing after a passion or a purpose, if you like, and you're getting something fulfilling out of life. And I think this is the perfect vehicle to examine as much. So let's dive into it. We start off with Galileo Galilei, the Italian astronomer, physicist, mathematician, telescope inventor, and responsible for systems of the world, and forced to recant by Inquisition. We also have Susan B. Anthony, the social activist, leader of temperance, anti-slavery, women's suffrage movements. And we also have Charles Tiffany, a jeweler and craftsman, and a New York store founder. We also have Cyrus McCormick, a mechanized reaper inventor and a manufacturer. We also have John Barrymore, the stage and film director, or film actor, rather. He could have been a director, but it just didn't get mentioned here. What else we have? Jeremy Bentham, a British utilitarian philosopher. Sir Ernest Shackleton, an Irish Antarctic explorer. And the writer of Hearts of the Antarctic. We also have Alfred North Whitehead, a British mathematician and philosopher. A lot of philosophers today. Matt Groening, the cartoonist and creator of The Simpsons, as well as Life in Hell. Jane Seymour, the film actress. We also have Brian Holland, the Motown songwriter and producer. And it says Holland Dozer Hollands. I'm not quite sure what that is, but perhaps a publishing company or some such repute. Who's to say? We also have Henry Threadgill, a jazz alto saxophonist and a composer. We also have Sax Rohmer, a writer of the Fu Manchu mystery series. And we also have Herman Kahn, a physicist. Claire Bloom, a stage, film, and TV actress. And we also have Graham Hill, a British race car driver, a two-time World Grand Prix champion. We also have John Anderson, the independent presidential candidate and U.S. Senator. We also have Cesar Romero, film and TV actor and the original Joker in the Batman TV series. And we also have Melissa Manchester, singer, John A. Sutter, Swiss-German pioneer, and gold discovered on his Sierra Nevada land, and it sparked the 1848 gold rush. Very interesting. I wonder what his passion was. It seemed like he was just an important part of history to some repute there. A linchpin, if you like. But hey, you know what? Maybe you can be one too. Who's to say? In any event, that's those born on this day, like I said. And like I said, hopefully me just kind of maybe putting the bug in your ear about chasing after a life's purpose or a passion can get you to start fueling the fires of your own desires there, if you like. Because if there's anything I wish for you on your birthday, like I said, it's that you're doing as much, all right? Getting something out of this life. That having been said, that essentially rounds out your birthday read. I know I butchered a couple names in there, so let's make up for it on my side of things. Not done in malice, it's just hooked on phonics. Isn't often the best tool for reading foreign names, but this essentially rounds out your birthday read. Except to say your season is winter, your sign once again is Aquarius, of the Aquarius III period specifically, and your quality and element is fixed air. And what is that? Well, that's a different video altogether. I'll leave it at the end there for you if you're curious. But this has been February 15th, the day of inventiveness, with the guitar opium pipe instrument at the top there. I said I don't know if we made a connotation for that, but a pretty interesting little dynamic there. This has been The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description, right above a personal birthday message I'd like to leave for the birthday boys and girls, ladies and gents there, if you're interested. Now, this makes an excellent coffee table book. If you're in the market for such a thing, like to say, hey, I need something to break the ice at a party, this thing is going to do it for you, and it's going to get the conversation started for better or for worse, let me tell you. But that said, the book, not altogether all too important in the scheme of things. And it's because, like I said at the top, what's important here, wishing you a happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else that joined us randomly or are here to celebrate, I just want to say I hope you enjoyed yourselves and you join us for your birthday reading. But before I take off here, I just want to thank you for the pleasure of your time. It was a privilege to share your birthday with you. I enjoy doing these things for you. Once I get the energy up, it starts to kind of take on a life of its own. And usually, once I get to that point, I'm just like, oh, this thing can't be stopped. But hey, like I said, I enjoyed as much. Thank you for the privilege for allowing me to share your birthday with you. But lest I forget, before we take us out, boom, your daily numbers, all right? Get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your path. You should be doing something fun for your birthday, and I would argue getting out there and showing a little bit of that curiosity that they said you have. Hey, you know what? Just see what they line up for you. And if you get a little bit of magic, stack up some coincidences or some synchronicity, you'll understand why I brought it up. All right, so once again, happy birthday. Stay curious, stay inventive, and don't let those sensitivities rain on your parade too much. But you know what? It's part of who you are, so can't fault you if it happens to happen. All right, once again, happy birthday. Take care of yourselves.